Thank you, Mr Speaker. We've heard what the Prime Minister said about the APEC agreement, so I'd like to ask him, does the Prime Minister still stand by his statement in February 1992, and you'll forgive the English, there's no concept of a level playing field outside of Australia. Outside of Australia, you just cross the low water mark. It's catch as catch can everywhere. They all cheat. They all muck about. They all play favourites. Have the Prime Minister's views on the ethics of our economic competitors been somewhat revised?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Well, Mr Speaker, if the leader... Mr Speaker...
Prime Minister can wait just a moment. The House will come to order. A question has been asked by the member for Barker, and I'm sure he certainly wants to hear the answer. The Prime Minister has the call. The Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, without a historic change like this, no, it hasn't changed. No, not one jot. Not one single jot. Not one single jot, because without multilateral agreement, without a shared reduction in tariffs and non-tariff quotas, you face exactly that position. Exactly that position. And this is why, when you proposed foolishly and arrogantly that you would abolish protection in this country while the rest of the world kept it, you copped the admonition, the sensible admonition of the Australian public for being wide-eyed and stupid. Now, Mr Speaker, as a consequence, what this government has done in the Uruguay round and now in APEC is to say, when we think about reductions in protection and trade protectionism, both tariff and non-tariff barriers, in the context of everybody doing it, of all coming down together. So there's then a benefit. There are multiple...
Leader of the Opposition, I'm not going to continue to warn him during the course of this afternoon. Prime Minister.
There are multiple benefits, Mr Speaker, and that's why the cost of economic restructuring, which a reduction in trade protectionism brings, is diminished if one can get the agreement of people to do it together. But standing as the party which built the tariff wall in Australia and increased it, that is the Liberal and National parties, and then standing there with tariff protection having risen through the period of your last government.
Order. I have already said to the Leader of the Opposition not to interject across the table. Heed the warning. The Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, with trade protectionism rising during the period of the Fraser years, to then adopt the mantle without having done anything to reduce trade protectionism but actually having added to it, to have claimed, like Alice in Wonderland, that they would go to zero protection while the rest of the world kept 200% and 300% tariffs on all of the key commodities of concern to Australia, was naive and, as I said, stupid. So the answer is no, my views haven't changed, not one jot. They can only change in the context of what this government's been able to achieve with leaders of the region. That is a multilateral reduction in trade protectionism. That is the capacity to reduce trade and non-trade barriers together and therefore reduce the cost of protectionism. I hope at least you've learned that much.
The Honourable Member for Franklin.
Thank you, Mr Speaker.